film opens deep in the jungle with a man named Jaguar Paw, who is out hunting wild boar with his father and the rest of his tribe. The hunt is intense and nearly turns deadly when the boar turns on them, but they manage to drive the animal into a spike trap they had hidden in the brush. After securing the kill, Jaguar Paw decides to play a prank on a tribesman named Blunted. He cuts out the boar's testicles and gives them to Blunted, convincing him that eating them raw will cure his infertility and can give his wife a child. Blunted eats them without hesitation, but when the rest of the men start laughing, he realizes he's been tricked, so attacks Jaguar Paw in a rage. Jaguar Paw's father, Flint Sky, steps in to break up the fight, advising Blunted not to let his temper get the best of him. As a peace offering, he gives Blunted a special leaf concoction to help with his problem. However, the mood shifts instantly when Jaguar Paw senses someone watching them from the bushes. A group of refugees from another tribe emerges, looking traumatized and defeated. Both groups prepare for a fight, but Flint Sky de-escalates the tension. The leader of the wandering tribe explains that they are only passing through because their lands have been destroyed. Looking at the hollow faces of the children and the elderly, Jaguar Paw asks what happened, and the leader simply replies that their land was colonized. Jaguar Paw wants to know more, but his father stops him and leads their group home. On the way back, Flint Sky warns the men not to mention the refugees to the rest of the village, fearing the news would spread panic. He pulls Jaguar Paw aside for a personal lesson, telling him that fear is a disease that can rot a man from the inside, and he must never let it control him. When they arrive at the village, the atmosphere is joyful as families reunite. Jaguar Paw meets his pregnant wife, Seven, and their young son, Turtles Run. Meanwhile, Blunted is immediately scolded by his mother-in-law for his inability to produce an heir. Eager to try the new leaf potion, he heads into his hut with his wife, but the night is soon interrupted by his agonizing screams. It turns out the medicine Flint Sky gave him was actually a burning irritant, and the whole village erupts in laughter as Blunted runs out in pain. That night, while the villagers celebrate around the fire, Jaguar Paw remains uneasy. He can't shake the feeling of dread from their encounter in the forest. His instincts are proven right just before dawn. While the village is still asleep, a ruthless raiding party led by a warrior named Zero Wolf creeps through the trees. Jaguar Paw wakes up to the realization that his nightmare has come true. He quickly grabs his wife and son, rushing to hide them as Zero Wolf's men launch a brutal, bloody attack, burning the huts and capturing everyone in sight. As the village burns, Jaguar Paw desperately navigates the chaos to save his family. He finds a deep, dry well and begins lowering his pregnant wife, Seven, and their son, Turtles Run, into the darkness. Just as they are descending, one of Zero Wolf's raiders spots him. With no time left, Jaguar Paw is forced to drop the rope quickly, causing his family to hit the bottom hard. He kills the attacker in a brief, but has no other choice. He has to leave Seven and his son there to help the rest of his tribe. He ties the rope to a heavy rock, promising to return, but the situation in the village is already hopeless. During the battle, Jaguar Paw is about to kill a raider named Middle Eye when Zero Wolf blindsides him. Middle Eye is eager to finish Jaguar Paw off, but Zero Wolf intervenes, demanding the prisoners be kept alive for a specific purpose. Furious at being told what to do, Middle Eye takes his anger out on Jaguar Paw by brutally executing his father, Flint Sky, right in front of him. Jaguar Paw is then beaten into unconsciousness. When he wakes, he is bound alongside the other survivors. His eyes constantly dart back toward the well, which catches the attention of a cruel raider named Carcaro. Carcardo investigates the area, but Seven and the boy manage to hide in the shadows just in time. However, Carcaro cuts the rope that Jaguar Paw left behind, effectively trapping the woman and child at the bottom of the well with no way out. The prisoners are then marched away, leaving the village in ashes. The journey is a grueling nightmare. Along the way, they encounter the same displaced tribe they met in the forest earlier. One of Jaguar Paw's friends, Coco Leaf, is severely injured and struggling to keep up. Middle Eye uses this as an opportunity for more cruelty, threatening to beat Jaguar Paw if Coco Leaf doesn't move faster. To protect his friend, Coco Leaf forces himself to keep walking through the pain. The group eventually reaches a river with a treacherous current. After a dangerous crossing, The raiders force the village children to stay behind at the base of a mountain, separating them from their parents forever. As they climb higher, Coco Leaf finally collapses and slips toward a steep cliff. The other prisoners, led by Blunted, try to save him by anchoring themselves to tree roots, but Middle Eye mocks their efforts. He deliberately cuts the rope and pushing Coco Leaf to fall from cliff, watching as the man falls to his death. That night, Zero Wolf is joined by his son, Monkey Jaw, who is being initiated into the hunt. As Jaguar Paw lies in captivity, he hears thunder in the distance. While the raiders see it as a sign, Jaguar Paw is filled with terror, knowing that rain will flood the well and drown his family. The next day, the march continues through a desolate wasteland. They encounter a young girl standing over the body of her dead father. When the raiders try to push her away with a wooden pole, fearing her visible skin disease, she falls into a trance. She delivers a chilling prophecy, warning Zero Wolf that his end is near and that he will be destroyed by a man who brings the day and the night, a man currently among his captives. Finally, the group arrives at a massive Mayan city. They pass through scenes of industrial slavery and human misery until they reach a marketplace where the women are auctioned off like cattle. The men, including Jaguar Paw and Blunted, are taken aside and painted entirely in blue, signaling that they have been chosen as human sacrifices. As they are led toward the Great Pyramid, the sight of the blood-stained altars makes it clear that they are entering the gates of death. Inside the city, the prisoners are forced past walls decorated with gruesome murals of death, leading them toward the Great Pyramid. The true horror begins as they witness the ritualistic slaughter at the summit. One by one, the victims are pinned to an altar, their chests are sliced open, and their beating hearts are ripped out. The bodies are then decapitated, and their heads are sent tumbling down the steep stone steps. Just as Jaguar Paw is forced onto the altar, the sky begins to darken. Back in the well, his wife Seven senses his mortal peril and prays for his life. At that exact moment, a total solar eclipse occurs. The Mayan priests and the massive crowd believe their sun god, Kukulkan, has been satisfied with the blood already spilled. The ritual is called to a halt as the sun reappears, and the high priest tells Zero Wolf that the remaining prisoners are now his to do with as he pleases. Zero Wolf leads the survivors to a clearing on the edge of a cornfield for a sadistic game. He tells the prisoners that if they can run across the open field and reach the corn, they will be set free. However, his men will be using them for target practice with arrows and spears along the way. To ensure no one survives, Zero Wolf stations his son. Monkey Jaw will be at the end of the field as their final executioner. Blunted and another prisoner are the first to run, but both are cut down in a hail of projectiles. Next, it is Jaguar Paw's turn. He runs in a frantic zigzag pattern to throw off their aim. Despite being struck by an arrow, he manages to reach the end of the field. When Monkey Jaw moves in to finish him off, Jaguar Paw uses the broken tip of the arrow to stab the boy in the neck. As Monkey Jaw collapses, a devastated Zero Wolf rushes to his son's side, allowing Jaguar Paw to vanish into the corn. Consumed by rage over his son's death, Zero Wolf ignores his men's hesitation and orders a full-scale hunt into the forest. While fleeing, Jaguar Paw stumbles into a massive pit filled with thousands of headless corpses, the true scale of the city's brutality laid bare. He pushes forward into the thick jungle, despite a deep wound in his side. He eventually climbs a tree to hide, but as the raiders pass underneath, his blood drips onto Middle Eye's back. Just as he thinks he is caught, a black panther appears, distracting the group. In the chaos that follows, the panther kills one of the raiders. Remembering the little girl's prophecy about the man who would bring the panther, the men grow terrified and beg Zero Wolf to stop the chase. Driven by vengeance, Zero Wolf refuses and pushes them onward through the night. The next morning, the pursuit continues. One of the raiders is bitten by a venomous snake, but Zero Wolf heartlessly leaves him to die. Eventually, Jaguar Paw reaches the edge of a massive waterfall. With nowhere left to hide, he leaps into the churning water below. Against all odds, he survives the fall and climbs out, screaming a challenge to his pursuers from the riverbank. When one of the men suggests they turn back, Zero Wolf kills him on the spot. He demands the rest of the group jump after Jaguar Paw. They all follow to jump, But one raider strikes his head on the rocks below and dies instantly, leaving only the most determined killers to continue the hunt into Jaguar Paw's home territory. Struggling through the forest, Jaguar Paw becomes trapped in a pit of deep, black quicksand. As the mud threatens to swallow him whole, he remembers his father's words. That fear is a disease he must not let into his heart. With a surge of determination, he fights his way out, emerging covered in mud but filled with a new, fierce courage. He decides he will no longer run. He will become the predator. Jaguar Paw begins to use the jungle to his advantage. He retrieves a wasp nest and hurls it at the pursuing raiders to disorient them. Next, he prepares a trap using thorns coated in the lethal secretions of a poison dart frog. He cleverly doubles back on his own tracks, catching the raiders off guard and picking them off from the shadows. This leads to a final brutal showdown with Middle Eye. After a desperate struggle, Jaguar Paw finally killed his greatest enemy, Middle Eye. Just then, the sky breaks and the rain begins to pour. Panicked, Jaguar Paw remembers the well and races back to save his family. When he arrives, he sees the water rising rapidly, threatening to drown Seven and their son. Before he can reach them, Zero Wolf suddenly emerges from the brush. He shoots Jaguar Paw with an arrow, but despite the wound, Jaguar Paw stands his ground. As Zero Wolf lunges for the kill, he falls straight into the same spiked boar trap from the very first hunt of the film, bringing the leader's reign of terror to a violent end. Down in the well, the situation is dire. The water is chest-high, and Seven is forced to hold her son up while simultaneously going into labor. In the midst of the rising flood, she heroically gives birth to their second child, keeping both children above the waterline until the danger passes. Jaguar Paw is still being pursued by the last two remaining raiders. He leads them all the way to the coast, where they all stop in their tracks, frozen by a sight they can't comprehend: massive Spanish galleons anchored off the shore. While the raiders are distracted by the strange men and boats, Jaguar Paw uses the moment to slip away and return to the well. He arrives to find his wife, son, and newborn baby have miraculously survived the rising water. Trembling with relief, Jaguar Paw helps them out of the pit. With his family finally back in his arms, he leads them deep into the forest, turning away from the arriving strangers to seek a new beginning for his people. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe my channel.